Welcome everyone to Dead Talk Live. Tonight we have special guest Damien LeVeck, director, writer of The Cleansing Hour, and I would probably say my favorite horror movie of 2019. Damien, thank you for being here with us. How you doing?
Thanks, John. I appreciate it. Doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm excited about this chat. And like a lot of movies, one night people have heard me tell this story plenty of times with other films as well. Sat down just looking for something to watch. I turned on Shudder. I came across this movie called The Cleansing Hour. Of course, you read the synopsis. I'm like, sounds interesting. Let me give it a try. And I loved it. And it
Oh,
wasn't until recently where I started diving into it that I saw that it started out as a short back in 2016. So why don't you tell us how it got from a short to a feature film?
sure. Well, the short, the sort of idea for it was born out of my long career working in reality TV, editing reality TV. I've been an editor professionally for 15 years or more, and I've always been sort of fascinated by this idea that people are. They take what they see in unscripted television seriously. They think it's real. They
Yeah.
think it's like like a real documentary. When in fact, most reality shows are staged to some degree or another. Like from something that's soft scripted where they sort of like write an outline for a scene to something that's full on, they write every single line. Um, and I combined that with my love of exorcism horror, and just thought, what if we had some guys that did this professionally, and had a webcast that hundreds of thousands of people tuned into every week to see. And it was about taking it was a commentary on social media culture, on the internet, on the world that we live in today, the very tech centric depersonalized world of the internet. And the short did very well. We went around the world with it to different festivals. And the intention was always to make it into a feature. It was always meant to be a proof of concept for a feature film. So the structure of the short film mirrors the feature pretty closely. The process of going from an 18-minute short film into a 90-minute feature is really all about building out the characters. Who are these people? What's their background? What do they want? And then taking that concept of a staged exorcism gone wrong, and then just expanding it into a movie where there's lots of twists and turns, and you have the cleansing hour. So you have the feature now. You can see how we did it.
And it's an amazing film. And for all our viewers, if you haven't watched it yet, The Cleansing Hour is available on Shudder, even though it's listed as AMC Plus. Is it on both, or is it just on Shudder?
Well, so AMC owns Shudder,
Mm-hmm.
so you can watch it on AMC Plus. If you have AMC Plus, you can stream it on Shudder if you subscribe to Shudder only, because AMC Plus also gives you Shudder as far as I'm.
As well as Sundance and IFC, yeah.
Yeah, all their different channels. You can rent it on iTunes, Amazon, Vudu. You can buy the DVD in Walmart and other stores around the world. It's on Amazon to buy the DVD. In fact, if you want to watch the short film, buy the DVD, because the short film is on the DVD.
I've never seen the short, so now I know where to watch it. So, when you took the short to the festivals, uh, how long did it take, and how were you approached that by, I'm assuming, financiers that we want to pick this up and we want to make this a feature film?
The process took about a year to go from a short film into a feature film that was ready to shoot. I mean, maybe a little bit more than a year. And then during that time, I was working day in and day out to raise the money for it. From a pretty early on, Shudder expressed an interest. They were like, "This is definitely a movie that we'd like to be a part of." Um, I was pretty adamant that they not see the movie until it was done. I don't like showing works in progress to potential buyers.
How did AMC
Plus,
Now, I have a lot of dealings with AMC. How did they react to that?
they were fine. They
Okay.
understood. They were like, "We can wait," and and they were very pleased when they saw it. So, they became our North American distributor, and
Awesome.
we're also streaming in all their territories. So that includes UK, Ireland, Australia, New Zealand,
That's
and
awesome.
pretty soon I think Spain. I think they're going to be in Spain soon.
Nice, nice. So the short was written by somebody else, and the person who wrote the short is the features your co-writer. You
Correct.
wrote the screenplay, but it was derived from his short film. Uh, are you two friends? Explain the relationship and how you two got together.
Yeah, well, we actually went to USC together, University of Southern California, and we ran in the same circle of buddies who are all filmmakers today. And Aaron also worked in or works in unscripted TV. So, and he and I also have an almost identical taste in movies, which is remarkable. I mean, like he'll watch something and had the exact same feelings about it as I do. So like in that respect, it was the perfect match.
Now, I mean, so you got the financing, you're ready to go. This was your first feature film that you directed. You have a lot of TV experience, documentary experience, but this was your first full feature film as a director. Uh, was it always known that you would be directing the film if it ever got to that stage, or how did that work out?
Yeah, that was the plan. I had some prior experience directing and being on set and working behind the camera, so that was always what I planned on doing. I really had a vision for this movie very, very early on, even though there's a pretty stark creative or visual difference between the short and the feature. When we were writing the feature script, I had a very clear idea of exactly how we were going to pull it off on a budget, because the movie was very, very challenging to make in a lot of different ways. And I had to really lean on my experience as an editor to be able to work efficiently, only shoot what I'm going to use. And because, I edited Cleansing Hour too.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
so we were shooting very fast. We were shooting 9, 10 pages a day. And each of those pages we had a combination of makeup gags, special makeup effects, stunts, pyrotechnics, all lumped together in one crazy day. So it was very, very intense, and we had to be very methodical about how we filmed it.
Now the lead role played by Ryan Guzman, I mean, perfect choice. Did you have difficulty in casting that lead role till you got to Ryan, or was it really it happened and fell together really quickly?
I think it came together pretty quickly. We Ryan, I think, was our first audition actually. So
Wow.
he made a great first impression.
I could tell. He was great in the film. And, there's not one particular moment that I could put my finger on that say, oh, this is what makes this film so great. It's the entire story, the backstory, the relationship between his best friend and his girlfriend, which does become possessed. It's like the perfect mix of it's irony coming back to bite him in the ass. Here he is, like you said, he's doing this so quote unquote reality show, but it's all fake. He's not even a priest. And he is confronted by a demonic entity that forces him to his knees and makes him submit. We're not going to give away too much. When it came, it had some really amazing special effects. Was it all practical effects? Did you throw in some CGI? How did you balance that?
My goal was always to make as much practical as possible. So I'm a child of the 80s and 90s. I grew up watching horror where they didn't have CG, so everything from Hellraiser to Critters and Gremlins. I adore these movies because of what they were able to accomplish practically. So I did as much practically as humanly possible. There are certain sequences where we did have to lean into CG, and we did the best we could with that. But I would say I mean, just a rough estimate, I would say probably 70% of it is practical.
That's
Including the big reveal at the end
oh yeah.
is also practical. I've had people say, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but I've had people say, comment, "Oh, that CG looked really good," and I was like, "Wasn't CG."
That was real. Now, I've read and where you have spoken about your, I don't know if fascination is the right word, but about demonic possession, the paranormal, just like me. Never experienced anything, don't want to. I am a 100% believer. I don't want to experience it in order to become a believer. How much of that belief is what fueled the fire for you to write this script and to film the movie?
Uh, all of it. I mean, it's the Cleansing Hour is a very deeply personal movie to me. My worldview and beliefs are very, very tightly woven into the narrative, into the characters. I have been studying, I've been studying the paranormal and demonic possession for many, many years, and it's in the screenplays that I write, that is one of the primary subjects. It's like there's always some sort of like spiritual component, and I really enjoy. I really enjoy the examination of how characters respond to this, an unseen entity that can cause them harm. So, like you, I've not experienced anything personally, but I know people who have, and I trust them. I did not kooks, but
Hmm.
I do think it's a real thing, and
Oh yeah.
it certainly did inform the writing and even the directing of the movie. So I take it very seriously.
Now, did you have enough information when you started penning this script with Aaron that you felt you didn't have to do any more research? Or was it like, let me get deeper into this, let me do some more research, try to be as authentic, realistic as possible?
Yeah, there were a couple things. I mean, as far as like the demon names and stuff that are referenced in the movie, those are all drawn from actual like compendiums of demons. Versus Ghostbusters. If you watch Ghostbusters, the demon names in Ghostbusters were all made up, and they
Hmm.
sound fantastic. But we were going for more authenticity here, just because of the nature of the story. And then, as far as the possession is concerned, my goal was really to try and make it as realistic as possible. So that the gold standard, the bar for possession movies, is obviously The Exorcist, right?
Hmm.
And that movie really broke the mold in terms of how possession is portrayed. So what I wanted to do was sort of grow on that and take what they did and make it as realistic as possible. So one of the most realistic depictions of an exorcism that I'd seen in a movie prior to The Cleansing Hour was Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Oh,
And I
great
thought that
movie.
Scott Derrickson did a really great job of portraying like an authentic exorcism and authentic possession. It's obviously based on a true story.
Hmm.
So that informed the way that I directed Alex Angeles in the role. But then also with the makeup, this was another thing that we put a lot of thought into. I really wanted the makeup to not be too over the top. So where The Exorcist kind of goes a little over the top with like the spinning head and like the pee vomit and all that. I really wanted it to be like you can really believe that this could happen to somebody. So the changes in her facial structure were all very delicate and slow, and so like you don't notice them right away, right? Like if you A B minute 80 of the movie with minute 60 of the movie, you'll see a difference. But if
Yeah.
you're watching it in real time, it's going to come through slowly.
So let's talk about the social media aspect of this film. There's a lot of commentary there that is very real about how everyone's head today is just buried on their phones in social media. And one particular scene or concept of the film that really resonates with me that happens at close to the end is when he gets that blue check mark, that verification. And when I got verified on Facebook, I messaged the whole team, and we all referenced the cleansing hour, except we didn't have to go through demonic possession to get it. But how big how important was the commentary, the social commentary in regards to social media, how people are obsessed with views and likes, and you wanted to show that in the cleansing hour?
Yeah, there. I mean, it was still very much a thing when the feature script was written in 2016. But sadly and sort of eerily, the movie's very prescient in terms of what it depicts. So, shortly after we finished the script, you started seeing things online about where people were live streaming suicides,
Mm-hmm.
live streaming mass shootings, doing god awful things in order to get more viewership. And the movie depicts this, and I swear I wasn't, this is just, we had our finger on the pulse of what was happening in the culture, and, it followed what happens in the movie.
It
So
does.
and you might not know that when you watch it just because of like the timing of the release and everything like that. But, live streaming a suicide, that was a thing that happened several times, live streaming murders. So it is very important. Like that is definitely the underlying theme. It's also, something in my own writing. I always have an underlying theme in my writing. I like to have a movie that's more than just popcorn fun, but also with a message. Um, and I've had some people say, that the internet is the devil. I don't think that it is, but it certainly is a good conduit.
Do you believe, in your opinion, I know you wrote it, you directed it, Ryan's character at the end and what he had to endure, and him even getting that stupid little blue check mark, do you think it was any kind of revelation to him? Or if the movie continues, he would eventually go back to being the same person that he was?
That's a great question. My intention with that character was that he goes back to who he was. That the Sadly, so many influencers online are so self-absorbed and narcissistic that not even the death of people around them and a traumatic experience like that could rattle them from the clutches, the chains of their social media accounts
Mm-hmm.
and the thrill that they get out of their blue check mark. That's really like the commentary. I'm not saying that all influencers are
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. We all know that there are some terrible people out there. Ryan's character is meant to be the worst of this version, right? Like this soulless guy who would sell, literally sell his soul for fame. So yes, the character, the lead, Kyle's character, Drew, really is sort of the lead because he's the one that changes in the end. He's the one that realizes that he has to break free from this guy.
Mm-hmm. As comparing the feature film to the script, we see the progression between the two friends and the little plot twists that are revealed throughout the film. Relationships revealed and whatnot. Is that part of the short as well, or is that something just in the feature film?
That's just in the feature.
That's a great addition because it adds a lot of character depth and background to the three main characters. Uh, so, trying to navigate a demonic possession film where we have a lot of them, what approach did you use to try to make your film different from like The Exorcist or The Exorcism of Emily Rose, which is an amazing film? What did you do to make this your own?
Um, I mean, I suppose there are a couple of things. As far as the narrative is concerned, focusing on this idea of, doing a cleansing and expiation of your sins and revealing, your dirty little secrets to people. Not, just trying to depict that in a fresh way, in the setting of like this live stream exorcism set. It's been done before, but like doing it in this new way was certainly a way that made it unique and made it my own. I did a lot visually with it, just in terms of the photography. It's a very dark movie. It's supposed to be dark. It's got a very sort of like smooth look to the picture. It's not too punchy and contrasty. I wanted it to feel dark and morose, almost like a nightmare. And and it does get progressively darker as the movie goes on. So a lot of thought went into how to make this, how to differentiate this from other movies. The other big component that this has, that a lot of there are movies that Unfriended and the movies that take place on the screen that show the interface of your chat windows and streaming interface.
Like Host is a great movie.
Host is a great example.
Yeah.
So we put a lot of time and attention into depicting the live stream. What does their live stream look like, right? And you're watching this now on a live stream. There's the little play bar, and there's like the chat window, and like there's all these different UI components. We put a lot of thought into that, and also just like how we filmed it. Like what cameras we use. We used lower quality cameras, a variety of lower quality cameras, because the idea was like, well, these guys started small, so they had like a crappy little camera at first, and then they added on a nicer one, and they added on a nicer one after that. So like the quality shifts whenever we cut between those cameras. And then finally, the other big touch that like I'm very proud of is the chat feed. Yeah. I don't know if you looked at the chat feed, but that is something that is not, unless there's a very specific moment in the movie, that chat feed is not written in the script. Oh. So what I did was I took the cut of the movie before it was finished, invited 15 people over to my house, different people, different backgrounds, spoke different languages, and I got them all liquored up, and I played through every scene of the movie where the chat feed is going, and we all were writing into a Google document, our chat lines, and we got just gold from that.
Yeah.
Pure gold. I mean, there are so many funny lines in the chat feed. If you go back and just read that, that's another movie in and of itself.
I think that's brilliant the way you did it, because I mean, I can't think of another way to create a chat feed for a movie than what you just did. I think it's genius, and it worked out great. I did notice the chat feed. Another big component in the movie is the following counter.
Yes.
Okay, and as the night progressed, and as things really become worse and worse for these people in that studio, the numbers start to skyrocket, into the millions of viewers that are watching this. And again, it's another great commentary to what you spoke about earlier, where, murders have been live streamed, all these terrible things have been live streamed. And the way that was depicted with the viewership counter, also genius. Now, are you a horror fan? Is that the genre that you would say is the most near and dear to your heart?
Yeah, I would say almost definitely. I don't consider myself a cinephile by any means, but I mean, I do enjoy horror more than any other genre. I love horror for so many different reasons. But it's such a diverse genre because there's so many subgenres within it, and I like some more than others. Obviously, exorcism horror is like probably right at the top of the list, but I do love it quite a lot. Horror, action, and sci-fi are really my three main genres.
Would you say that horror, let's go back to the commentary that you talk about in The Cleansing Hour. Would you have been able to depict that kind of social commentary in a drama or a comedy? Horror is probably the most popular genre for filmmakers, writers, directors to lay out some social commentary. Do you agree with that, or is it just a coincidence?
It's social commentary, spiritual commentary, cultural commentary. It's the thing that's great about horror is that you can do it on a lower budget, and you can tell an original story with a commentary that isn't preachy, right? Oftentimes, if you're making a drama or a political thriller, there's a preachy political message in it, and like that's never fun to watch. But if you sort of couch it in this horrific scenario, all of a sudden the commentary is you don't mind it because you're having so much fun with it. I mean, a great example of this is The Hunt. If you saw The Hunt, I mean, what a great example of weaving social commentary into a horror film and being okay with it because it's so freaking fun to watch. And that's really my goal, is to entertain. I don't want to make a movie that puts you to sleep because it or makes you roll your eyes.
Th- That's great. When you and Aaron were developing the characters, how did you two work together when you were writing the film, in developing each and every character? Did you guys have a special process? How did it
Well,
work?
initially with the short film, it was pretty simple. I'll never forget it. Honestly, it was July 2015, and we were just sitting on a couch in his apartment, and we were just tossing ideas back and forth, and talking about like who these people were, and like how do they know each other, and like what's their background. And then when it came time to like expand that into the feature film form, then it was just like we had an outline, and he did a pass on the script, and then he'd hand it over to me, and then I would do it. We would talk through it and talk about what we're going to change, and then I would do a pass and do those changes, and then he would do a pass, and so on and so forth. Until we got to the script we were going to shoot, and it actually went pretty fast as like writing goes. That process. So that's how we did it.
So, Ryan and Kyle have great on screen chemistry. Did those two need really any kind of directing when it came to them portraying these characters? Did you really have to step in and say, okay, Ryan, this is how your character goes? Kyle, this is how your character goes? Or did those two meet, really hit it off, and they brought that chemistry onto the camera?
I well, I think a couple things. First of all, I am so blessed to have gotten the cast that I got, because they are consummate professionals. They are so thoughtful in their process and what they do, and they really showed up ready to go. And they made my job easy in that respect. I never felt like at any moment that these guys didn't understand their characters. So that allowed us to film the movie faster, be more efficient. And as far as their chemistry is concerned, they got to hang out. We were all staying in the same hotel together, hanging out, going to dinner together, doing day trips together. Well, they were. I wasn't. I was busy the whole time. But they were when we were in prep, they were hanging out together. So I really think that helped them bond, and they took that to set whenever we were filming.
Nice. The movie ends in a way where it's not really set up for a sequel, which is kind of rare these days. Almost every filmmaker ends a movie with the hope that a sequel, maybe a franchise, will get started. But this movie ends great, perfectly. Uh, is that how you wanted it? Let's be honest. Every filmmaker wants their movie to be a start of a franchise and the beginning of a sequel and so on. Some movies are better left as a one and done. Did you want The Cleansing Hour to just be a one and done, and that's why you ended it the way that you ended it?
It's funny. I both Aaron and I envisioned a sequel for this movie, but by the time I was done making it, you're exhausted. You feel like you've been through, war, and the movie has has the kind of ending that you could imagine that there could be a sequel, but it's not like it. We're not giving you like the sequel on a platter, being like, here, it's coming. So I've had a lot of people ask me if we're going to do a sequel. I'm open to it. But I've moved on to other projects since then, so it's not on the docket right now. But there is an outline for a sequel, yes.
I don't expect you to answer this, but if there is a sequel, the way I see it being done is not chronologically right after The Cleansing Hour ends, but showing us something alongside while The Cleansing Hour is happening in another part of the world or another
Yeah.
part of the country.
Yes.
That is showing maybe this is more than one entity, and let's say it's a legion. I think that's a great idea. I think you should think
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, I'm gonna write
Anyway,
that down.
Damien, this has been fascinating. For anybody who has not watched the film, it's called The Cleansing Hour. It's available on AMC Plus, Shutter. Uh, as Damien said, it's pretty much available around the world in the countries he mentioned at the beginning of our broadcast. You won't be disappointed. This movie is scary. It's got a great story, great acting. You did a fantastic job. Moving forward in your career, do you want to expand? Is there any thoughts of you expanding outside of horror, or is your passion to stay in horror filmmaking?
I do want to expand outside of horror. I have, like I said, I like action, so I wrote an action movie last year, and I would love to direct an action movie at some point in my life. I think that the sort of the pinnacle for me would be to direct a reboot of the Alien franchise. Alien is one of my favorite movies of all time. Alien and Aliens, and I have an idea for a new Alien that I
Now,
would that I want to write and what I would love to direct.
is it a reboot or a remake? Your idea?
A reboot.
Nice,
It'd be a
nice.
reboot. It takes place. It basically would take place, 50 years after the second movie.
That is awesome. I mean, we it's been so long. I mean, yeah, we've gotten all the Predator versus Aliens movie, but an aliens only movie would be fantastic. Damien, thank you so much. Any final thoughts you want to share before we go?
I love talking with horror fans. I made the cleansing hour for the horror community. We understand each other in a very special way. So anybody that wants to ever reach out, you're more than welcome to. I'm at Damien LeVeck on Instagram and Twitter and on Telegram. So feel free. I'd love to chat with you.
And we thank you so much for bringing the cleansing hour to us as horror fans. I know I definitely appreciated it. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Thank you to our special guest, Damien LeVeck. Till next time, on behalf of Damien and myself, stay safe, guys, and remember, stay walking. Good night.
Thanks, John.